Whilst England is not deemed the saddest country in the world, there are songs that, although they don't necessarily have sad lyrics, their atmosphere might make depressive and nostalgic anyone. While average travelers just see a Big Ben, statues, castles, and that sort of thing, just a few can feel the grey but interesting atmosphere of England. The great towns and cities of England, alongside its coldness, low temperatures, and some social problems, have surely served as inspirations to compose the most melancholic English songs. English history, alongside English literature, must have inspired the music industry too. There are many dim episodes in English literature and history that could frighten anyone. From disgusting monsters to creepy villains like Heathcliff from Wuthering Heights, Count Dracula from Bram Stoker's Dracula, and Signor Montoni from The Mysteries of Udolpho, English literature must have been in English musicians' heads before composing a song. However, many times are the very experiences of these musicians, or probably composers, which serve as an inspiration to make great songs. Right, in this list you won't find any song that the media sells as a sad song. But these songs come from a personal point of view that I would like to share. Without any further ado, let's review these songs. Right, let's get started. Are you ready to check the saddest English songs? Okay, let's relax and hear my voice. Number 1. Dream at Deceiver, Judas Priest, 1976. When it comes to Judas Priest, everyone can mention hardness and velocity. However, just a few listeners can mention this power ballad from the majestic album Sad Winds of Destiny, which since the first second you can feel melancholic, thanks to the guitar of K.K. Downing, or was it Gleb Tipton? I don't know, to be honest. Dream at Deceiver is sold as a space rock song, probably because of his lyrics, which tell the story about a mystical character who takes the narrator through the cosmos. The narrator, who is Rob Halford, invites the listener to find the cause of his life. The atmosphere created by the band, especially by the full vocal range Rob Halford, can make us reflect on a dark and doubtful future, especially in these grim and uncertain times we're living. Maybe the best way to get rid of the worries is to imagine walking through the cosmos, just like the narrator does in this song. Number 2. Fruit Tree, Nick Drake, 1969. It is true most Nick Drake songs are dismal and profound, and even you can feel sadness in Nick's voice. Mick Jagger, Robert Plant, or John Lennon could have been far more popular than Nick Drake in the 70s. But this doesn't mean Nick was less than those singers. I've always said that if Introvert had had more luck in the industry, quality of music in general would be far better than the one we have nowadays. It's my humble opinion, to be honest. Fruit Tree talks about fame and how it destroys anyone's life. Just hear the viola played by the Velvet Underground member John Cale, and you will surely get inside yourself and will find the darkest memories. The riff definitely sounds sad and puts you in a funeral atmosphere, like you were in a remote dale of England. Fruit Tree is part of his debut album 5 Leaves Left, released in 1969, 5 years before his sad death. It's believed this amazing and talented singer took his life in 1974, when he was 27 years old, but undoubtedly this folk artist from Tamworth in Arden left a great legacy, which will remain forever. Number 3. Solitude, Warhorse, 1970. You probably haven't heard this song before, and even this band. Warhorse was a contemporary band to Black Sabbath and Deep Purple, and they sounded quite similar to these ones. However, they had a song that you probably never had heard before, which conversely to the hardness of an average heavy metal band, it sounds quite sensitive and weak. Solitude starts with funeral atmosphere of organs and the suffering voice of the lead vocalist Ashley Holt, who is the narrator of the story. Solitude tells the story of a sad and lonely man who is complaining about the cruelty of human race. The narrator literally tells you about how grievous and perverse the people can be. The song evolves and it gets more and more dramatic, like it was a quite emotional fugue or symphony, getting the tag of progressive rock. Guitar solos played by Get Peck make the song even more dramatic and profound, so you surely won't not play it in the marriage of a party. About the lyrics, I will leave them to you and judge them by yourself. It appears the narrator complains about life and the solitude he has to cope with. The voices of the chorus will make you cry. Hey, are you enjoying this video? I hope so. If so, help me to grow with a rocking subscription. Likewise, have a look at my oldest videos, as this is not the only one I have. Rock on! Right, let's keep going. Number 4. Catch the Rainbow. Rainbow, 1976. According to the very Ronnie James Dio, Catch the Rainbow turns around a medieval atmosphere. The narrator tells his story about an impossible relationship. He's a poor, stable boy who has a romance with a rich wench of the court. Through a romantic and poetic lyric of the song, the narrator describes how beautiful is the romance. However, from the chorus of the song, the narrator refers to the story as a past statement, mentioning that they were to catch the rainbow, which symbolically tells that the relationship didn't succeed eventually, and both of them kept living their life separated. The weeping riff of Richie Blackmore is the most emotional and saddest part of the song, driving you to a gloomy feeling that seems never to end, and making this song eternal. Number 5. Sign of the Times, Harry Styles, 2017. Most of you must be amazed to see a next One Direction song here. However, this list is not intended to discriminate any artist because of the kind of public. Sign of the Times starts with a quite emotional piano progression, which accompanies the profound manifesto of Harry Styles. With many disasters, less moral, and poor love in the whole world, the message of the song probably refers to an upcoming and unavoidable apocalypse, which most of us wish to come as soon as possible and finish all these troubles. Some people are getting tired of the same bad news skyrocketing in the media or their very life, and they long to run to a promised land. The video was filmed in the lonely avoid area of Skye in Scotland, symbolizing a place that every single of us wants to arrive after getting away from the deadly and dreadful reality. We can't escape from reality, but we are able to learn to bear with it and give the best of us. Number 6. New Dawn Fades, Joy Division, 1979. It doesn't need to know English to understand this song. The obscure fatal voice of Young Curtis by itself can produce a unique feeling. The ascending guitar of Bernard Sumner brings you to a day where all your frustrations claim life again. The narrator, who is Young Curtis, gives us a painful and confusing speech, which is oriented to himself. Sadly, the young Curtis died because of the evil enemies he was struggling with, the very ones he mentioned in the whole album and No Pleasures, and nobody probably gave the right attention to them. Even he warned his audience about this at the end of the first verse of New Dawn Fades. Sadly, those very enemies finished his life when he was only 23 years old. Number 7. Holding Back the Years, Simply Red, 1985. Mick Hucknall wrote this song when he was 17 years old. According to the same Mick, the inspiration for this song went after his mom left home when he was a child, as illustrated in the video of Holding Back the Years. Many times, when there is a rupture in the family, are the children who suffer the most, and the lack of a father, of a mother, fall into social issues, which we can see not only in England, but also in the rest of the world. Happily, Mick knew to use pretty well this lack of love in this dramatic song. Holding Back the Years was shot in the gothic and melancholic tone of Whitby, in North Yorkshire, the same location on Bram Stoker Dracula, definitely the most suitable location for illustrating a sad past. Number 8. Shine On You Crazy Diamond, Pink Floyd, 1975. I was about to choose I Wish You Were Here before Shine On You Crazy Diamond. However, I eventually remained with this last one, and I will explain the reason why. The departure of Syd Barrett from the band in 1968 was something that none of the members would have wanted. Syd Barrett was a crucial member of the band who offered his expressive and psychedelic voice. However, some personal issues affected his performing at the band, following his farewell and the arrival of David Gilmour. Shine On You Crazy Diamond is even more dramatic than I Wish You Were Here. The emotional atmosphere of a proper progressive rock made the song seem to never end, and this was the best way to show the intense love and nostalgia over the absence of Syd Barrett. I place this song here because it probably illustrates the guilt we feel when removing people from our lives. Not because we really want to, but because we have run out of method to cope with those people. The other members of the band probably felt this way when seeing an abandoned and mentally ill Syd Barrett, who was only 31 years old by the time Shine On You Crazy Diamond was released. So, are you still thinking I Wish You Were Here is more dramatic than Shine On You Crazy Diamond? Come on, the whole album was dedicated to Syd Barrett. Number 9. Epitaph, King Crimson, 1969. Imagine having not slept in many nights after going through bad moments in your life and hearing this song suddenly. Epitaph is probably the saddest and most dramatic song by King Crimson. Greg Lake's voice is dramatic by itself, and the drum from Michael Giles take you inside an atmosphere of unsettledness, which becomes even more dramatic with the use of the mellotron, which is an instrument that makes songs sound orchestral and symphonic. Epitaph can point out to biblical passages of Ecclesiastes, which talk about the danger of having too much knowledge. This is referred in the verse, "Knowledge is a deadly friend." Epitaph talks about the fear most of us feel about the future. There is too much information everywhere. Everything is bad news, and it appears nobody is keen on the future, which leads us to get into anxiety and crisis, which probably leads us to selfishness and distrust towards our fellows. Epitaph is a song that fits pretty well in the magic and extreme subjectivism of King Crimson's debut album In the Cove of King Crimson. The cover artwork of this album by itself might evoke fear in someone who has never heard of King Crimson before. Number 10. Bones, Radiohead, 1995. You probably left surprised for not having seen any Radiohead song here. Well, you was wrong if you believe I had forgotten this band of Oxfordshire. The Band is an album that received the tag of Britpop and put the band in the same position as Blur and Oasis. However, the album possesses a more emotional and dramatic concept, being more oriented to mental conditions and frustration. And the track Bones is a good example of this. Literally, Bones tells the story of a crippled or disabled man who suffers from intense pain and strokes and has to counteract them with medicines and that. Right, from a far deeper interpretation, Bones illustrates the life of a very depressive man who struggles to have a normal life. He uses the hard voice of Tom York to be understood or comprehended, telling us that we have to feel it in our own bones to comprehend people who suffer from depression. What makes me put this song here is its explicit lyrics about this condition, even naming the very medicine to treat depression. Depression is something that every single of us should comprehend, regardless of who has it. And the bonus is Night in White Satin, The Moody Blues, 1967. The Moody Blues album, Days of the Future Past, is deemed as a pioneer of extreme conceptualism inside the music, opening the doors to progressive rock in the late 60s. The narrator, who is Justin Hayward, talks about his unrequited love, which an unrequited love might be a topic cliche for sad songs. Are not the lyrics of this song the whole essence of sadness, but the atmosphere created by the dramatic mellotron and the Baroque harpsichord. I couldn't close this list without mentioning this great and notorious band of Birmingham. Right, tell me what you think about this list. Do you agree? Would you remove any song? Would you add more? Let me know it in the comments box. I plan to make a second part, so you probably think the song you are now thinking of in my next video. Remember that these are only songs by English artists. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Would you help me by subscribing to this channel? I will be sharing new content weekly.